I don't seek out conflict. I don't love conflict. And so I have a really hard time sitting on my hands. We're not going to increase diversity on start lines if it's a bunch of white guys in a room talking about it. The goal is to build with community, not build on community. I think the unknown of what you're capable of is really appealing. Just like getting to experience a new place, a new distance, a new sensation or feeling. I think that is really, really special. My job is to hold the door open and make sure that we have people that are representative of those communities that we're quote unquote working for. I would probably not drop out of UTMB in 2019. I still regret that because I was just having a bad day and I vomited for 100 kilometers and then I was like, you know what, I'm kind of over vomiting. I know when to move on. I know when the juice isn't worth the squeeze anymore. Oh, you're a runner who humans. It's like, no, you're a human who happens to run. So who's the human? I think the threat is that I just have no understanding of my limitations. I run okay, but I'm a really good walker. And I think people forget that trail and ultra running does have a lot of walking, and that's not because you're unfit or you're less than or you're not elite. It's no, we do a lot of walking.
Corrine, welcome to the Trail Chasers. I am super excited to have you here, not only because you're a phenomenal runner, but also obviously you're a podcaster as well. So feeling a little bit nervous that I'm being judged, but it's all good. So thank you so much for joining me and for making time.
Yeah, I'm coming in with a little bit of a cold, so I was like, I'm normally such a good talker.
Yeah.
Today I might be a little bit rough around the edges, but I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. So you're in Cape Town, obviously for UTCT. Mm-hmm. You know, when I say UTCT, what kind of pops into your mind? I
mean, I love Stu.
Yeah.
This is my third time actually in Cape Town. I was here to do commentary in 2022. I ran the 100K in 2023, and now back to do the 100-miler this year. And there's a reason why I keep coming back. Yeah. It's not easy to get here. It was, an all-day flight across the U.S. and then a 14-hour flight from the East Coast to Cape Town. It's hard to get here, but once you're here, this place is magical. The race is magical. The running community here is incredibly special. So I think there's a reason why. Yeah. So many of us make this a stop on our annual calendar. I'm kind of on an every other year mission right now, but it's incredibly special.
Yeah. How far in advance do you kind of have to plan, to include this in your kind of calendar?
I think a lot of us, particularly from the U.S., it becomes kind of that last minute add to the calendar. I was supposed to do a 100-mile race in September, first weekend of September, a week after working UTMB, and got UTMB COVID everyone else. Okay. And so I don't know why I thought it'd be a good idea to run 100-mile a week after UTMB anyway, because it's such a chaotic week of work. But I got home, realized I was sick, realized I wasn't going to run that 100, and so I looked at the calendar. I looked at the time left in the year. I looked at what I wanted, a hard rock qualifier. I wanted to do a 100-miler. I wanted it to be a big adventure. And 100K to 100-miler for sure, and laid out my options. And my husband and I sat down and he said, you know what, I think the quote-unquote easiest, most convenient one for you to do, I think is UTCT. And so pulled the plug, called Stu up and said, hey, I'd like to be there, and made it happen. I've got a friend who traveled with me. She's running the 16K and then pacing and crewing me through the next, day.
Yeah.
It's, again, you make it work on your calendar.
Yeah. And what do you love about the community here?
I mean, I'm blown away by the run club community. We were here my mom and I flew in really close to the race last time, and then we stayed for 2 weeks after the race.
Yeah.
And I got to do the beer mile a week later as my first run back with bunch of run clubs up at the rugby field. And I don't know, I think that's special. I was at the group run last night where there were 300, 400 people easily.
Yeah.
There, it was hectic. It was a lot, but it was also, I think, the way in which people gravitate towards running with other people here is just, I can put in headphones in the dark at home on trails, and there are animals potentially, it's kind of cougary where I live, but I don't have to worry about anything. Yeah. And it's just a very different experience, I think, running in other places in the world. And Cape Town's no exception to that. And so I think people have done an amazing job forming community around running. Mm-hmm. There's a similar culture, we live up in Seattle. There's a similar culture in LA, in the LA running scene in SoCal, where the run club culture is such a big thing and a big deal. And I feel like part of that is not necessarily safety in numbers, but it just forms this community cohesion that you don't see everywhere.
I don't know if you do have a business card, but in general, what would it say under your name on that business card?
Yeah, it's changed a bit. I joke that according to my taxes, I'm a running coach. That joke is held for years. But I'm also a sports marketing consultant. I work for HOKA now, and that's been a really fun role to hold.
So going back to that question, around your business card, and I guess it's also about priorities. Where are those priorities at the moment?
And that's ebbed and flowed, right? Like, I think for the first time in probably a couple of years, again, this training block that I've done since August, I feel like that's the first time in a long time where my own running has had a little bit more priority, and I've made time to make it happen, and that's huge because I feel like I've pushed that off for my own coaching, my work as a commentator, my work with the podcast, my work in the event space. That has had to take priority in the last couple of years, and I feel like for the first time in a while, and part of that was I was injured in 2021, 2022. It took a long time to get back, and so I feel like part of that was also not being ready really for my running to be at the forefront, and I feel like I've been able to have that change a bit over the last 6 months, and to me that's been very exciting. Yeah,
that is pretty incredible to finally get that back. It is a difficult tightrope, I guess, that you kind of walk. And if you look back at your life, what have been, I say, the 3 most pivotal moments that have led you to the trail runner you are today, or working in the space?
I mean, the first one's probably my dad telling me that he thought I'd be better if I ran further. And so I'd done some sky running and then jumped headfirst into ultra running almost a decade ago.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, signed up for 100K for my 26th birthday.
Wow.
I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then someone's like, maybe you should do a 50K. And I was like, oh, right. So I did a 50K a couple weeks before that. I mean, in a weird way, getting injured during the pandemic was also pretty pivotal. Coming out of that with a really serious, I had stress fractured my pelvis and really couldn't run normally for a very long time. And that was the advent of live commentary as well. And so, I got the call from Western States to do the broadcast with Dylan, and that was huge. That was massive. And then honestly, 2 years ago, being here and then getting the call from UTMB that I wasn't going to be finishing out the season or working for them made me really reevaluate what I was doing and what I wanted to work for. And now I work really closely with those same people.
Sure.
With my role at HOKA to make the sport better.
Yeah.
Kind of doing it from the inside in a lot of ways, but that was huge.
Yeah.
People that I was really upset with for a long time, now we are in meetings every single week trying to figure out how to make things better, trying to ebb and flow with this, community-centered sport while there's a professionalization at the very top end. That's not easy to navigate. And we don't have a national governing body or an international governing body, so we don't have anyone that we're beholden to. And so these big race orgs kind of become those things. And so getting to work at the on the ground floor effectively has been huge.
Yeah.
And it's we're slowly chipping away at things. We're not making big changes overnight, but I've gotten to do really cool projects and work through that, and get to continue to do really cool projects and work through that. And that I don't think would have happened without that kind of conflict in 2023. So that was pivotal from a career perspective in a big way.
How important has your relationship with HOKA been? I mean, you obviously say that whole thing was pivotal, but how, I guess, your relationship, but also their support in what you want to do. How important has that been?
Yeah, it was interesting because obviously I was with Terex for 6 years.
Yeah.
6 years when it was all said and done, and had an option to stay on with Terex as well, and took the risk of leaving, and for something that wasn't guaranteed.
Yeah.
I had a 1-year consultant job basically, and now we're moving forward with it, and it's very exciting. But I work with amazing people who share a similar vision that I share to what the sport can be, and I get to work with them every day. I had a call the other evening. I was like, okay, we have to go to dinner. But it was about, the projects that we've been working on this past year and how we're, putting together the scaffolding to make sure that they live on,
sure,
that they do exist in the future, and that I am part of that process of making that happen. But it wouldn't be without, the support of the global sports marketing team. At HOKA, I work really closely with the events team and the partnerships team and the athlete team now. And that's been huge.
Yeah.
Like you know, maybe it sounds like I sold out to a big corporation, but at the same time, it's like I can do so much more work when we have budgets to do the work.
Yeah.
And so that's been, I don't think I could do some of that without them.
Yeah. And, you know, what would I need to understand about your life, you know, to understand the person you are today, you know, sitting in front of me?
Yeah, I like this question a lot. And my go-to for it is, well, I don't seek out conflict. I don't love conflict. I also don't tolerate bullshit.
Yeah.
And so I have a really hard time sitting on my hands. If I see something that I don't like how it is or what it can be, like I'm not going to call it out necessarily or light it on fire online, because a dog pile doesn't get us anywhere. But I'm so willing to have those conversations. I'm willing to be wrong as well. But it's like I don't have time for nonsense. And so I've always been very good at, you know, getting uncomfortable and being fine, saying, hey, this is, and maybe it's like inherently American, that like it's hard to love America. It's a little rough there right now.
Yeah.
In so many ways, but you can love something and be critical of it.
Yeah.
You can love something and want it to be better. And I think that that's kind of the work I'm doing with HOKA, the work I'm doing with UTMB is like, you can love something and think it's so cool, but also know that it's not perfect and be critical of it and pick it apart and say, how could we do this better? What are we missing? Who's not here? Who's not part of this conversation who needs to be? You know, we're not going to increase diversity on start lines if it's a bunch of white guys in a room talking about it, right? And my job is to like hold the door open and make sure that we have people that are representative of those communities that we're quote unquote working for. And so, again, it's like, yeah, I don't go and seek out conflict. I'm not like looking through my weekly planner saying, where can I pick a fight this week? But I want to be the reason why someone stops and rethinks a campaign launch or an initiative that they're rolling out and say, hey, have we actually like vetted this with anyone? Have we brought in the appropriate parties to have a conversation, to dialogue this with, to workshop it? And have we listened, and have we been willing to be wrong? And so that is the basis of, I feel like, what I do day in and day out. Yeah.
And on that note, you know, what I guess would you say are the biggest problems that trail running is, you know, facing at the moment?
I mean, we have a growth problem in which it's a problem and not a problem, right? It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
In which we're trying to figure out, we got growing pains. We're a community sport. We're a soul sport. We're about the masses. We celebrate, Western States is a great example of this. We celebrate all 369 runners who get across the finish line. This weekend, there's like, 150-odd runners in the 100-mile, I think?
Yeah.
We'll celebrate every single one of them.
Yeah.
You know, Stu will be there to give him a hug. Like, we will celebrate every single one of those finishers. But at the same time, we have the professionalization of the sport. We have the pro-down approach. We have live broadcasting. We have these things that make our sport really interesting and engaging. But when you watch the New York City Marathon, they're normally not streaming for 6 hours and, like, following the final finishers.
Yeah. They're
following the elite fields. And so we're very different in the sense that, like, we put on a 30-hour broadcast at Western States, 31 hours technically. That's insane.
Yeah.
And people watch it, which is also insane.
Yeah.
And so it's this interesting, like, we are a community sport, we are a soul sport, we are a participation sport. But there's a lot of vested interest in our growth and in our potential to grow. And I like to think, I was having a conversation with someone recently about this, and the goal is to build with community, not build on community. And I think there have been players that come in and they see what we're doing and they think it's cool and they build on top of us instead of building with us. And so that is, I think, a kind of a constant struggle in the trail and ultra space, is that we're still trying to figure out who we are in a lot of ways. And sometimes, you know, money will come in and that will be its own, it's, again, a blessing and a curse.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, UTCT's done that really well with kind of growing, but still maintaining that sort of community, small feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and as you say, with Western States, with the 30-hour broadcast, is that a long-term thing? Is that kind of a feasible thing?
Yeah.
At what point, how do we kind of keep these small values, these things that we've been doing and still grow at the same time? I think that's kind of the big kind of challenge that's facing the sport.
And the sport's cool because you can go to a grassroots podunk backyard race and and it's like there's sort of aid stations and it's like really chill. My last 100 mile I did, they're not podunk, it was Cascade Crest 100, like literally 45 minutes from my house. And it's like a super old race in the US and the volunteers have been out there for years and it starts and finishes at a fire station.
Sure.
And it's like the youth fire program with the Boy Scouts are making smoothies the next day for everyone and grilling like burgers. It's very chill.
Yeah.
But you can also have like high production grassroots community races, and that I think is what UTCT does so well, is that the production value for UTCT is so high. So high.
It's crazy.
It's wild. But it's still a community-centered event, and they haven't lost sight of that. And I think that's like there's something for everyone in our sport too. So if you don't want to do a big series race, you don't have to. You don't have to do like the world marathon majors, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to be going to Tokyo and Australia and whatnot to collect your medals. You can do the local stuff, but there's also differences on the local stuff too. Like I work closely with Dylan Bowman at Free Trail, and they now with Daybreak Racing run 2 races, and they're amazing. Like they are as yokel as it gets. Like it literally, one of the races finishes like a couple blocks from Dylan's house.
Yeah.
Like it's his backyard in a lot of ways, but it's the production value that is brought to it is really cool.
Yeah.
And so there's something for everyone.
Yeah. That's what's so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, what part of your story or your I guess your life story, would know kind of race result or know like Google search kind of tell me about you?
I have a German Wikipedia page, so that might come up. I don't know. I'm really good at dropping out of things that might not be well known. And by dropping out, I mean like I dropped out of grad school. I dropped out of college and did biathlon and then left biathlon to go back to college. And then I went to grad school and I dropped out of grad school. So I'm really good at knowing when to move on, maybe.
Yeah. I think that's a better one rather than dropping out.
Yeah, I know when to move on. I know when things are not worth when the juice isn't worth the squeeze anymore. But yeah, I was on the US Biathlon team for a while, so I skied in a circle with a 22 for a number of years. In the pursuit of an Olympic berth at Sochi, and did not quite make that team, and so went back to school instead. And my husband's a 2-time Olympic alternate, and so we're like, man, our household's really good at almost going to the Olympics, but not going, which is an oddity. You're like, oh, you're not getting that Olympic rings tattoo, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe with like an asterisk.
Yeah.
So it's I think that's something that isn't always known well in the trail and ultra running world, is that I was thinking about this other day about being a professional athlete and how that's kind of shifting as well. And athlete has been part of my identity since I can remember.
Yeah.
Like I was on the regional elite cross country ski program as a high schooler, and then skied in college, and then was on the US national team, and then took on trail and ultra running very quickly, and within a year or two was on a contract.
So
I've been in a lot of ways a professional athlete since I was like 15 or 16.
Wow.
And so it is very weird to kind of be grappling with that identity a little bit of like, what does that even mean in the context of everything? Like, and how much do you care about your sport and what you're doing without potentially saying, oh yeah, I'm a sponsored athlete or I'm a professional athlete. And like, I don't think I have the answers to that yet, but that is like a big question mark, is that I've been pursuing athletics at a very high level for a long time, some of that for external validation, and just recognizing that, oh yeah, we've got a lot of internal validation that is needed to run 100 miles of rock and sand in Cape Town.
Do you think you'll ever get to a point where you'll be kind of, I guess, satisfied with working in the trail space but running for fun or and not being that professional athlete? I think the struggle is is always, from the outside, we're always going to see you as an elite athlete.
Yeah.
Even when you don't see yourself anymore as an elite athlete. So it's still going to, if you're like, I'm done, I'm taking this for fun, but you're not doing well, we're still going to be like, okay,
Corine's racing.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting because I feel like my racing has been so weird the last couple of years, like returning from injury and then like kind of like adapting to new jobs that, I went to Tarawera to do media and was like pretty undercooked at that race. And I was like, oh yeah, this is like me showing up to a 50K, like able to do a 50K, but not, I think I was an hour behind Bianca.
Yeah.
And Bianca's very fast, but I was like, I'm an hour behind Bianca at this 50K. That's insane. And so I feel like I've started to experience some of that already. But I think, again, it's like pursuing goals that excite you and make you want to do the work, be that at whatever level. Like my husband has never done a trail race and just signed up for Swiss Peaks 100 mile.
Oh wow, okay.
And he
so
loves
overachievement is also in your household.
He loves training for big adventures, and so he does does big ultra length adventures throughout the year with solo or with friends, but he's never put a race bib on.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, the European racing is kind of cool. Like I'm excited. He crewed TDS this year, and I was like, oh, I think I want to sign up for a race in Europe. And so he is signed and so it's like I think that you can want to do well and perform to your best without being a pro. I mean, to be fair, that's like what 95% of the field is doing, right?
Exactly.
So someone's got to be excited about it.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, you're a podcaster as well. Mm-hmm. Have you ever thought about the one question that you would ask yourself if in an interview like this?
That's a great question and a hard question. And I feel like part of it is I do a lot of, when I'm on podcasts, I'm generally on as like an armchair expert, talking about a specific topic area, be it anti-doping or environmental physiology, which is like what I went to grad school for, or talking about running, like racing or science or something. So I feel like I haven't been on many podcasts where they're like, who are you? Like, where did you come from? What did you do? And so I always think that that's very interesting, too, of like, what, like, I don't know, Dylan does the, like, what makes you thing. But I like that gets to a bit of reflection on why you do the things you do.
Yeah.
So I think we touched on that a little bit. But I think that's always a good reflection from, like, a human level, not just oh, you're a runner who humans. It's like, no, you're a human who happens to run. So, like, who's the human?
Yeah.
I think that's always important.
Yeah, I love that. You're not just a person you see on social media or in the media. And we have chatted, about the different areas of your life and the different things that you've done. Have you ever reflected back on, if there's a kind of thread that kind of connects all those things? Or is it more just you were interested and that was kind of where you went?
I think it's interesting now to be working back in sport in a lot of ways. Because when I was in grad school, I was like, oh, I don't actually want to work with elite athletes anymore. I want to work with like the general population and work on health metrics. And so it's kind of funny that I'm now back in a way, like back to elite sport, but from the sports marketing side. I think the thread is that I just have no understanding of my limitations. And I'm kind of like, well, why can't I do that?
Yeah.
Why can't I run a 100-mile race? Why can't I go to grad school? Why can't I convince HOKA to give me a job? And I don't know if that's probably privilege more than not understanding my limitations. But I think that we're generally a summation of all of our experiences. And so I think that, there are things that happened in life that were in my control and out of my control that have led me to where I'm at today. Yeah. Good, bad, and indifferent. Yeah. And that to me is like probably that common thread more than anything.
And we have touched a little bit on, that sense of like belonging and, feeling part of a community. Was there a moment, when you were like, okay, I belong in trail running, and did you never have that moment with biathlon?
No, I think I had it in biathlon too, but I think it was more like my friends that were running were going on like 4 to 6 hour runs in the mountains and bringing snacks, and I was like, I can do that. Yeah. Like, I'm like, you just pulled a piece of cake out of your backpack, like, that's sick. Yeah. And I was like, this is a sport for me.
Yeah. And do you remember when the first moment, like actual physical moment, like a race or anything like that, that it clicked?
I think, that first 100K that I ran, was pretty special. I covered double the distance I'd ever covered before, and it just kind of kept going and kept working. And that was pretty wild.
Yeah.
That was pretty wild. And then, honestly, Tahoe Rim Trail in 2020, where I was like, we had some mistakes and some whoopsies, but, like, I ran 171 miles, and it went fine.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't like, oh, yeah, that section was really hard. I was like, no, we did it. And I was like, that's messed up. You don't get very many experiences like that, and that really clicked.
Yeah. I love it when you say, like, whenever you're talking about your racing, you say, we did it. I love that. That's actually very interesting, like, that the acknowledgement of the team behind you.
Yeah. Like, I think that's an incredibly important, like, you have to run every single step, but you don't get there without your support at home, whoever's in your corner, be it coaches or PTs, your team around you, the people that are giving their time to your race weekend, pacing you, crewing you, driving you around when you're being belligerent and complaining and hating life, and they don't abandon you. Yeah. Like, it is really a we. Like, you still have to run every single step, but it is a we experience. Yeah.
And, you've mentioned you did go to grad school, and did you finish your degree? No. Okay.
I was like, this is not academia. I don't think was for me, but the lab was having a bunch of trouble. A lot of us left, and I was having a hard time getting kind of the research pushed through. And so we joked that it was an accelerated PhD program. So we joked that I have 60% of a PhD, but I didn't master out. Like, I didn't defend a master's thesis either. So I just kind of ghosted.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But it's fine. It's like I get to apply stuff I learned there all the time.
Yeah. Would you ever go back?
I think I would, if, like, the opportunity presented itself and it didn't, like, uproot my life.
Yeah, and I want to go back to that, you get to apply it. So do you find that you're a very analytical thinker, in your running and in your kind of day-to-day life?
In a way that I probably shouldn't be. It's really hard to, like, believe in the placebo effect when you're like, but does it work?
Yeah.
Does this thing actually do that? Like, what's the validity? So I think it's more just like I got really good at multitasking and project management and staying organized in that regard, and also recognizing that, like, you only have so much control over the situation. And, like, at a certain point in time, you've got to, like, recognize that there are things that you can control and things that you can't control. Yeah. And, like, can't worry about the things that you can't control. Yeah. So it's like the weather. You can't control that.
And, in terms of, like, race prep and things like that, are you highly analytical, or are you going in with a bit more loose, what's coming, but you don't force it? I
think it's a bit of both. I mean, like, I studied environmental physiology, so, like, heat and altitude adaptation predominantly. So it's like, I'm doing the sauna training and that kind of stuff. And I think it's a lot more about, like, my whole philosophy is, like, we want to do the smallest dose possible to elicit the results we want. And so it's not more is more. I'm really good at being like, nope, this is what we need to do to get the job done. And more is not going to be additive to that.
Yeah. Where is the hardest place you've been mentally and physically during a race or during an adventure, during anything?
My last 100-mile race, I had a really bad stomach, and I decided not to do anything about it for like 40 miles.
Oh, wow.
My husband got to pace me and watch me vomit for the first time in a race. That was pretty great. So you got to eat this. And I was like, okay. And I tried. And then I was like, nope, it's coming back up. And then didn't fix it for a long time. And then one of my other friends who was out there with me finally was like, why are you doing that? Like, what, like, where are you going? Like, you're going to sit here and you're going to eat this quesadilla and then we'll keep going. Like what's the rush? Yeah. Like, you're fine. Yeah. I was like, those headlamps might be a woman. And he's like, that doesn't matter. Like, you're miserable right now. Like, you're going to sit here and eat this. And so recognizing that you don't have to be miserable for 80K. Yeah. You can choose to make some changes. Yeah. And so that was pretty dark.
That's such an interesting thing, because it's obviously, I guess, a delicate balance between, like, I can do hard things and push through hard things. Yeah. And or just, like, as you say, sitting down and being like, this doesn't have to be this hard. Like, if I can just fix it.
Yeah, I can do something to try to change the outcome.
Yeah, exactly. And, you obviously work a lot with different athletes and different runners, and what do you wish that more people understood about training, about performance, and what are the mistakes that people are making a lot of the time?
I think a lot of people struggle to rest and recover, and you've got to remember that adaptation is stress plus rest.
Yeah.
And so like getting people to like relinquish control and like take a day off is really hard for a lot of pros, and for a lot of ultra runners. Like, we're in a weird sport where like pros and the average human actually train pretty similar in volume, like hours per week, even if they're covering different amount of distance. And I think as a sport, we probably have a little bit of an addiction to doing that. And so getting people to, recognize that they have unhealthy habits and to try to break them.
Yeah.
Like, it's unsafe to run outside, but you still are going to go do your run. Maybe that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, missing a day it's not missing a day. It's like saving a day for a future day.
Yeah. And, if someone comes to you and they don't really understand, the allure of trail running and that kind of suffering, the long distance, how do you kind of try to explain that to them? And further to that, what is the one part of like 100-miler that you just can't explain, that you just, that no adverts, no billboards is ever gonna tell you?
I think part of it is it's wild how you get to mile 80 and all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's a long run. I only have a long run left.
Yeah.
Because when you're at mile 60, it's like, you have so far to go. Yeah. You're 100K in and you're like, I have how much? Well, I have 60, 70 more K. Versus like, oh, like you get to mile 80 and you're like, oh, I have less than a marathon left. That's like a Saturday.
Yeah.
I know what that means. I can do that. And so all of a sudden you kind of like come back to yourself oftentimes and can put together like a really solid back 20. I think people don't recognize that. Also, like, we walk a lot. Like, I'm really just a great walker. Like, I run okay, but I'm a really good walker. And I think people forget that, like, trail and ultra running does have a lot of walking, and that's not because you're unfit or you're less than or you're not elite. It's like, no, we do a lot of walking.
Yeah. And outside of trail running, or outside of your professional career, what kind of brings you joy, or what does that look like?
My dog. I spend a lot of time outside in different ways outside of running. I really love, I was like, wow, we sound like we're all addicted to moving outside. I do a lot of skiing in the winter, do a lot of climbing with friends, spend time on the water. That's all really important to me. But it's also just like, I love home. I love it that it's wet and rainy right now, and all you want to do is like sit under a blanket with tea and like chill out or make soup. Like, that stuff I think is like just like having home is,
I love that.
To me, is really important. Like, I can't live out of a suitcase and just travel around.
Yeah. And if there's one moment, in your career that you could relive, what would that be?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, I would probably not drop out of UTMB in 2019. I still regret that. Because I was just having a bad day. And I vomited for like 100 kilometers. And then I was like, you know what, I'm kind of over vomiting. So I stopped, but I didn't have like a bigger why goal.
Yeah.
I was fine otherwise. I was really low energy because I hadn't been eating because I couldn't eat because I would vomit everything up. I was just sick. And I wish I had stuck it out. Like, I still wish. Like, I have taken DNFs that I'm super happy about that were the right call. And I think on that day I was just miserable, and I still wish that I had like just like marched it out. Yeah. That I could have walked it in and still been out there for way less than so many people. And I just wasn't ready emotionally to do that. Yeah.
I think every DNF's like that, almost every DNF. I think if I also look back at some of the DNFs I've had, it's the same thing, where it's like just walk it out and then you'll get there.
Yeah.
And, obviously with trail running, with the career that you have, there's a lot of parts to it. What is the one part that keeps you going and that in 10 years you're going to be like, that's the thing that still draws me to the sport?
I think the unknown of what you're capable of is really appealing, right? Just like getting to experience a new place, a new distance, a new sensation or feeling. I think that is really, really special.
Yeah.
I've said special a lot today, but I do think getting to challenge the unknown and getting to move through space in a way that you can't otherwise is really cool.
Yeah.
Like we don't get to, and it's not about suffering or advancing yourself or becoming better. It's like just getting to experience the landscapes that we live in and we travel to and we explore on our own 2 feet is incredibly magical.
And, in terms of future planning and things like that, what is your approach to that? Are you a 5-year plan type thing, or are you, let's see what happens next week?
I feel like it's a bit of both, as always. There are things that I want to do. Like, I would like to go race UTMB finals again at some point in time because that 2019 DNF is like staring me in the face. But also, I want to, show up to event like chucking at 50K in my backyard is so cool. And Dylan just launched a new 100K down in the Bay Area in the spring. That's a point to point, and it's beautiful. So I want to run that stuff. But I also want to get to. I want to go to Japan and race. I want to go to Australia and race. Like I'm a big runcation person. So it's like finding things that excite me and also finding experiences that excite me. So going on trips and making it more than just like a quick in and out race thing and getting to actually go and experience a place. Yeah.
And professionally?
Not get fired. No, I'm excited to get to continue to wear multiple hats a little bit more. I like that balance in my life. But I'm also, I have a little bit of security in that. Like I have a contract that will be there from a consultant standpoint, and I hope that I get to continue to do the work that makes me think the sport is meaningful, even in the face of like stuff that really sucks around us.
Yeah. And hopefully it won't be 5 years until you come back. But if you are sitting here 5 years, we're doing an interview, what are you hoping that you'll be telling me?
Hopefully Steven gets to come to that one. I've been 3 times in 4 years, and he hasn't gotten to come over with me. So hopefully it's like, we're on a family trip. Yeah. And we're like here for a month and we're getting to do fun things. That'd be pretty cool. I would love that. And I think he'll be graduated from medical residency this spring. So life is looking more flexible, which is exciting. But, I hope it's like I'm getting to come back and see friends. I'm getting to see Stu in his element, doing exactly what he loves. His son will be even taller the next time I'm here. I was like, man, you were a baby the first time I met you. So that, I think, is really special as well. I'm going to cough again.
It's a great way to end the chat. Yeah. But thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. But thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, that's awesome.